Services Marketing, MKT 625. Lecture number 44.
Assalamu alaikum Khawateen Hazrat. This is Wasim Ahsan, your instructor for the course Services Marketing MKT 625 at the Virtual University of Pakistan. I welcome you to lecture number 44. The topic is going to be continuation of the pricing strategies which I started talking about in the previous lecture. We know by now that service sellers could have three approaches at their disposal to work prices for the services. The one is cost-based pricing, the other one is competition-based pricing, and the third one is demand-based pricing. I had barely started talking about the demand-based pricing approach when the lecture came to an end. But just to give you a quick recap of the earlier two approaches, which happen to be traditional approaches, let me say a few words. Cost-based and competition-based approaches are quite very commercial because they take into consideration all the commercial aspects of costs and the gross margins and competition and so on and so forth. These two approaches do not really take into account what really is valued by customers, and that is something which is taken into consideration by the demand-based approach. That is what we have learned so far. Now, this is not to say that the earlier two traditional approaches goes out the window when we consider demand-based pricing. No, it is not that. The fact of the matter is that service sellers could work with three different approaches at three different times because they have to respond to the competitive dynamics. They have to take into consideration the strength of the variables of marketing mix available to them, and so on and so forth. And therefore, this is not to say that for services there is just the one approach which can be standardized for all situations and for all services. We also can say that the one single approach may not be standardized for one particular service for all times to come. And therefore, you have to be very considerate of all the approaches that we have learned and we are going to learn. Demand-based approach is the one which takes into consideration things like lack of reference pricing and non-monetary costs and quality as the basis of pricing. These are the factors which really form the basis, if surmounted, of value perceived by customers. And demand-based approach is the one which really takes into consideration customers' perception of value, meaning what is it that forms value in the eyes of a customer before we start talking about the pricing. Once we have determined what really constitutes the value, we can price the service in question. There are a couple of challenges in this approach. One is that we deal with heterogeneous nature of services because we do not know the kind of demands and needs that may be elicited by customers at different times, and therefore we just cannot determine the price in advance. This is one of the challenges faced by demand-based approach. The other one, as you know very well, is the conversion of the non-monetary costs into benefits. Once those benefits are determined, then sellers can really go ahead with pricing the service because they know what is it that is valued by their customers. Not just all the benefits, rather each and every individual benefit as it is valued by customer should be determined by sellers before a price could be related with that benefit or a set of those benefits. So therefore, it is obvious that there have to be the different sets of pricing for offering services under different circumstances and in different situations. And it also becomes obvious if a service can really save time, inconvenience, the search and psychological costs, the service has to be priced a little higher. In other words, customers should be willing to pay a higher price as against a service which really cannot save time, inconvenience, search costs, and psychological fears, and so on and so forth. So there has to be sanity when it comes to deciding what kind of a pricing level we should establish for different services, and that has to be done in light of the value as perceived by customers. So therefore, the biggest challenge that service sellers face is assigning a certain level of value to the benefits which customers enjoy. And before we can establish what those values are, we have to understand how different kinds of customers could behave while they evaluate and assess the value of the service they are considering to buy. Experts say there are 4 different categories, and the customers can be divided according to those 4 scenarios. One kind of customers that is concerned about low pricing, because these customers think that the low price is the value. The second category consists of those customers who think that they must get what they want in a service. The third category is of those customers who think that they should get the quality for the price they pay for that particular service. And the last category consists of those customers who think they must get all the benefits against all they pay to a service seller. And what they pay to a service seller is the monetary pricing along with the non-monetary costs, because they think it is not just the money that they pay, it also is the other costs which are kind of sacrifices, and therefore they have given a lot to the service seller, and in turn must get all they really can. Now, a little the detail of all these 4 categories. The first category, as it is quite very clear from the terminology, that customers are really concerned about low pricing, and whenever and wherever they think they can save money, or they have paid the least price prevalent on the market, they think they are getting a wonderful value out of the price they have paid. Now, this is not to say that these customers are not quality conscious customers. They really are quality conscious customers because they deal with different suppliers or sellers of service within a particular industry that characterizes quality. So that is a given that we have to deal with. These really are quality conscious people. All they look for is that they should get a deal by one of the suppliers who happens to be a good one. And therefore, suppliers could have to look at the different strategic moves that they can formulate in order to respond to the needs of these customers. Meaning, these sellers could have to have a way whereby they can offer the value as perceived by this category of customers. While doing so, they have 4 different strategies at their disposal. The first one is of discounting. The other one is odd pricing. The third one is what you may call synchro pricing. And the fourth one is penetration pricing. Let us talk about these one by one as the strategies toward responding to the needs of the quality conscious, but at the same time price sensitive customers. Discounting is all about coming up with a discount at different occasions by offering a service package. That is one of the standard strategies followed by sellers in this particular category. And this also is to be understood that the sellers in this particular category are the ones who opt for the cost efficiency position, because of that very fact. These customers are also price sensitive and like to go for deals. Take the example of fast food restaurants. They keep on offering these kind of deals which are characterized by discounts from time to time, and they do not let any opportunity go by which is without discounts. And those opportunities could be occasions relating religious matters, or social cultural, or any other relating nationalistic occasions or feelings or whatever. The basic objective behind exercising this strategy is to offer discounts to customers so that they keep coming to those particular suppliers who offer those deals. Like I said, customers are price sensitive, so they are not really very highly brand loyal. They can go to the chain of restaurants which is offering deals. If they're all offering deals, they are at par in terms of their competitive moves. But the fact remains that these customers are quite very price sensitive and think by saving money, they get the best quality out of the deal they go for. The second strategy at the disposal of sellers is that of the odd pricing. Now, this is something we are all very much familiar with, and this is where sellers do not really round off the last unit of the currency and offer prices like 19.99 or 9.99. Now, even if customers do realize that the price in actuality is the 20 or for that matter 10 and not 19.99 or 9.99, yet they get some kind of psychological satisfaction by seeing this kind of a magic price, and this does work. This is something that you must have learned from your other course as well, and therefore suffice it to say, customers do get a value out of odd pricing. The third one is synchro pricing. Synchro pricing basically is the concept of the differential pricing, and it builds on the concept that we should have different prices for different time zones and the different places and different opportunities and so on and so forth. And therefore, the sellers can offer synchro pricing in three different ways. The one is the place the differential, the other one is the timing differential, and the other one is the quantity differential. The first one, which is about the place, could be exemplified by a live musical performance or a stadium where a game is being played. We know we have different kind of customers or viewers, spectators who come to watch the performance and like to sit at the different places because they have the sensitivity toward pricing. We certainly have the different categories of customers who have the sensitivity toward different levels of pricing. Let us focus on that category who are really concerned about low pricing or the most economical pricing because they think they get the best value out of that. And taking the example of a game in a cricket stadium or for that matter live musical performance, there are spectators who would like to sit on the back rows because that offers the good pricing, and by the same token they would like to sit in that part of the stadium which offers the best possible price, meaning the lowest possible price. And this is how these people get value out of the pricing strategies that the sellers offer them. The next one, timing differential, is pretty straightforward because this can be best exemplified by the rates telephone companies offer, say after 11 p.m. You can talk for minutes and minutes, hours and hours, if you wish so, at a discounted price, and then think that you have gotten the best possible deal out of the rates that you are paying. The next one is quantity differential pricing, and this could be exemplified by the corporate customers getting into contracts with hotels or car rental companies. By getting into these kind of contracts, what happens is the seller feels very confident about securing some future business. So in other words, these suppliers or the sellers can really quantify and project quite realistically their the future demand, and at the same time the buyer can secure a good rate. And that is why executives traveling very frequently get the better rates staying at good hotels as compared to those who walk into those hotels once in a while. Same is the case with the car rental companies because the corporate customers keep using this service, and therefore they think that they have every right to offer a price which is lower than what is generally charged on the marketplace. Now, we have yet another strategy as the part of this the category of customers, which is penetration price. It is offered by companies in order to lure customers into trying a new service in general. But the tricky part of this strategy could be that the customers might get used to that penetration price and hesitate to accept a rise in price when you think you should jack it up to get to the regular or normal level of pricing. This is a huge disadvantage, and they may not be withstood by those who happen to be small or financially less powerful in the market. And therefore, this is the kind of a strategy which should not be offered by the small and smaller sellers. Big sellers, in other words, are the ones who make use of this strategy, but they also have to be very careful about implementing it for the disadvantage that I have just talked about. For the simple reason that you go for penetration pricing when you think that customers are extremely price sensitive to the service that you have launched, and you cannot really go for the kind of volumes that you project to get, and the only way to register those volumes is by offering a penetration price, which is a price much lower than what it would have been under normal circumstances. So therefore, you've got to be extremely careful. But nevertheless, this does happen to be one of the strategies available to sellers in order to offer value to those customers who think value comes through low pricing. The next category, as we know, consists of those customers who think they must get everything they want in a service. What does this imply? It's pretty straightforward that these are the customers who look for quality, and they think that they must focus on the benefits which they get out of the service and not anything else. Because they are quality conscious and they want to have everything that they want in a service, they do not really care about the price level. And therefore, the strategies that the sellers have at their disposal in order to offer value to such customers are prestige pricing and skimming pricing. Let us try to understand what prestige pricing is all about. Well, this is a price with which prestige is involved, and it is a high price. It could be exemplified by luxurious suites in five-star hotels as against regular rooms. It also could be exemplified by different classes in an aircraft, like business class and in particular the first class. Now, sellers, while selling these services, can have a price of their choice. Now, I'm not saying that they can go for any price. What it really means is they can charge a price which is very much in correspondence with the kind of value they are offering their customers. Take a look at the education industry. There are some people who would like to send their kids to those schools that charge the highest tuition in the market, and they really have a tendency to relate that pricing with the level of quality offered by those schools. Now, this obviously necessitates that we revisit the concept of service queues. Such schools have got to be really good in order to be able to charge a prestige price. The second strategy available to sellers is skimming pricing, which is an extension of the prestige, because there's a lot of prestige attached with this skimming pricing. And this price is charged by sellers when they offer a new service which really is a marked improvement over the previous one. Without a meaningful improvement as perceived by customers, sellers just cannot charge this skimming price, and therefore they have to have a rationale in doing so. Let us take the example of the double-decker aircraft which was launched in the recent past, I think just about a couple of years ago. The prices charged by one of the best airlines in the world that was flying a very prominent route were absolutely exorbitant, and the people were willing to pay those prices for all the classes, whether it was the economy class or the business class or the first class. The skimming prices were charged because a unique service was being offered, and the enthusiasts, meaning enthusiastic customers, were really eager to try that service. So it has to be a meaningful improvement over the previous service or existing service, to be a little more precise, and it has to be offered by a company that really enjoys good reputation. So in other words, the service cues are extremely significant. As you can see, I'm talking about these service cues from strategy to strategy, and therefore whether we deal with cost-effective approach or the competition-based approach or the demand-based approach, the service cues have got to be strong, and that is one of the prime objectives of any company dealing in any service at any given level of quality. In relative terms, every company has to achieve the highest possible quality in relative terms, just like every company likes to go for a high level of the cost efficiency, no matter what operational position the company takes. Back to these the strategies. The third the category is of those customers who think they should be getting the quality for the price they pay. So in other words, these customers could happen to be quite very pragmatic, realistic customers who think whatever they pay, they must get quality which is equal to what they have paid. And they are not unrealistic, and they are not price conscious. They are quality conscious, but like to make sure that there is an equation between what they have paid and what they are getting. Let us look at the strategies what sellers may have at their disposal in order to satisfy these customers by offering the kind of value they look for. As a strategic response, sellers that can get into the process of segmentation and create the pricing by having two different categories of the service. The one is that they may call customer category, and the other is what you may call the service version. Now, there's a subtle difference between the two, and let me explain that very difference. The customer category is all about those customers who are a little concerned about the price, and they want quality, but they are a little constrained. Take the example of a company that specializes in the line of restaurant business. The company thinks of getting into campuses by having cafeterias where they can serve the captive audience of students. Now, knowing that this is a category of customers that is quality conscious, but cannot really pay the kind of price that is paid by general customers in the open market, the company really has to do something with the pricing and keep it a little lower. By keeping the price a little lower, it really can satisfy these customers because it can convince them of the value it is offering those very customers. And customers knowing that the kind of food they're getting from the cafeterias is equivalent of what they get in the open market at a higher price, will be well served and develop a perception of getting value out of this kind of a service. Under such circumstances, service sellers have got to be very careful about the costing process because they sell at a price which is less than the regular price, and they have to recover all the costs they incur. One of the ways available to them is by undertaking a continual process improvement program so that they can go for cost savings. This is something I've talked about already. Now, the next strategy which they have available to themselves is what you may call the service version. This is a strategy which is exercised by sellers realizing that there are customers, or there is a segment of customers that really wants the added features and attributes in the service. Now, you can take the example which I gave you earlier the other way around. Just imagine for a while that the company was operating on the campuses by having cafeterias here and there, and it now wants to get into the open market by having nice fine dining restaurants. What will it do? Even if it offers a similar kind of food with some added features that make the food look like, a little fancier, and the way it is presented and the full service aspect of the total the setup are the factors that will enable the service seller to charge a little more. So we have learned a very interesting part of these two strategies, which really allows the sellers to cross these segmental lines. So in other words, if the company starts its business from restaurants and get into the cafeterias, or starts from cafeterias and get into the line of restaurants, it is crossing segmental lines, or in other words, it has the opportunity to serve customers within both the segments, thereby offering them value the way they perceive. But the basic thing in this the part of the category of customers is that the customers must get the kind of value which they think they should get by paying the price they have paid, or the quality they are getting should be the one which they think they should get by paying the price they have paid. This takes us to the fourth category of customers, which is a very, very interesting category, and that consists of those customers who think they must get all the benefits against all they have paid, and they are very conscious about paying the monetary price, meaning the amount of money that they pay for the service along with all the non-monetary costs. Not to say that the other categories do not really care about non-monetary costs. They also do that. This category in particular is very conscious of and sensitive to the factors of the non-monetary costs. The time they spend, the inconvenience they are put to, the search costs, and the psychological fears, all of the costs they put together and think, since we have incurred all these costs, meaning we have given these sacrifices, we must get against all these costs all that the company can give us, meaning all the benefits. And in order to respond to these kind of customers, again, sellers could have a set of strategies. It is very interesting that for every category of customers, we have a different set of strategies in order to offer value the way they perceive, because this is the basis of demand-based approach, that we have to establish what it takes to form that value, to perceive that value on part of the customers, of course. Back to the strategies that the sellers may have in order to offer value to such customers. The one is price bundling, the other one is complementary pricing, and the third one is result-based pricing. Price bundling is putting a couple of services together in order to come up with a package and offer it at a price that may look a little lower than if those service parts were purchased individually or separately. This is the beauty of offering a price bundle, and you know very well that this strategy is really catching on and is becoming more and more popular among so many different industries of the services. Actually, whenever customers find a very close relationship between two services, they buy those services for the sake of complementarity. Those services complement each other, and customers think it is economical and common sensible to buy those services together. And therefore, sellers in those situations must capitalize on that opportunity by putting those services together, creating a package, offering a price bundle consisting of those related services. So the condition is that these services have got to be very closely related. This is not to say that I hasten to add that all packages are put together of services which always are very closely related, but by and large this is the case, and this is the condition, meaning the complementarity. There is quite a bit of good that price bundling does, both to customers as well as sellers. It keeps the confusion out when it comes to customers, because it makes the purchasing process which otherwise could be overwhelming a little simpler. For the simple reason when sellers offer a package of services, they talk about the properties of those services and the close relationship between those services, and they price the package in a way which becomes very attractive for customers. So in other words, they facilitate customers toward understanding that particular package and keep the hassle of going into each and every service one by one and then coming up with a decision whether to buy it or not buy it. So in other words, the heterogeneous nature of services and the varying needs are put together, and a marriage is drawn between the complex nature of the two, thereby making it easy for the customers to make the final decision for purchasing that particular package which is put together by service sellers. Another thing which is done by price bundling is discounted price, which we know very well. And what happens is that sellers really can tag slow moving services along with the fast moving services and make the whole package look like a little cheaper than separate services would cost or would be priced. Another the benefit to the sellers is that they don't really have to give discounts on fast-moving services because they already have given discounts on the slow-moving services. Maybe they have given a little more discount on the slow-moving services for the trade-off between that discount and the acceptability of the package. What happens is that the package is accepted by customers for carrying an attractive price, and there is no discount on fast-moving services. The discount is borne by the slow-moving services. And what I'm saying is the trade-off is that slow-moving services also get sold in a little more faster way and with a speed which is brisker than it otherwise would have been for those slow moving items. And in the end, what happens is sellers can achieve efficiencies, both the production efficiencies and cost efficiencies. They can achieve economies of scale and also offer customer comfort. Bundling can be pure and mixed, and this is something which we already know, I think. But let me say just a few words in the context of services. The pure bundling consists of those services, just a couple or a little more, which cannot be separated, and buyers could have to go for the bundle, come what may. And the mixed services are the ones which are a combination of those services which have been put together in order to make the package very attractive, but could also be bought separately. Back to the pure services, the pure the price bundles. Let's take the example of the Hajj and Umrah, a very classical example I keep talking about. The bundle is inseparable because of the practicalities involved in delivering the service. It takes into account all the things starting with the airfare, the boarding and lodging, transportation there in Saudi Arabia, and performance of different rides that cost money. There is nothing which is not paid for, and therefore it becomes a little difficult for sellers to start considering if there were certain customers who were to opt in or out of any given benefits. So what I'm saying is that all the services which are put together as a package are bought much in advance, and the price bundle is that of a pure price bundle because it is inseparable. Now, to what extent the sellers can convince their customers of the utility of that service depends upon the seller's ability to educate their customers about the effectiveness of the service and explaining the whole process as it will unfold while the service is delivered, something that we have learned in detail. Mixed services, like I said, are a package consisting of the different services which otherwise could also be sold separately. But it is the overall pricing of those services that make the whole package very attractive for the customers to buy, not only from pricing point of view but also from the point of view that I just explained. No hassle of getting into the heterogeneous nature of services and then being overwhelmed by the process of search and identification. You don't really have to trace so many services back into their origin and then trying to learn different things associated with features and attributes of those individual services. Package offers everything, and sellers explain to you all the features and attributes of those services. So in other words, it works for both the customer as well as the seller. An example of mixed the bundling could be the combo meals offered by different fast food chains. They offer things which could be bought otherwise as well, but the price that you get is attractive, and therefore you don't really have to stand there and take time by looking at the menu board. What is it that you should take or you should not take? The package makes the whole the process of the decision making so easy that you like to pick one of the pricing bundles, and that is one of the classical examples of the mixed bundling. Another example which I must talk about is from the field of telephones, in particular the mobile telephony. We keep seeing the different companies talking about different packages which they keep offering from time to time because of the competitive pressures. And we know the competitive pressures bring a lot of benefits to customers. So one of the benefits, like I said, is that of price bundling. And recently, one of the largest companies in the country offered the different price bundles, and they advertised that through newspapers, and I would like to talk about those for the sake of clarity and the better understanding of the price bundling on the part of all of us. One of the price the bundles which is very basic or standard in nature talks about the security price, the line rent, and SMSs, the internet, the cost of making calls to landlines, the cost of making calls to other mobiles, and the cost of making international calls. Now, this is something which they have put together as one standard package. They also have introduced a couple of more packages, and let me talk about the one package which is different from the standard one I've talked about, because this one carries additional features, and those features are characterized by free minutes. The standard package does not carry free minutes, whereas the other one, which is the value package, does carry free minutes, and free minutes by way of offering you access to the internet and using your mobile to talk with others through the internet, and also for some other on-net applications. What those are, one really can talk about those with the sellers, because they also communicate to the customers and actuate them into talking with the sellers about all the features and attributes in order to make those extremely clear in the minds of the customers. So you have seen there are two different packages, and one consists of the standard services, whereas the other one consists of the value-added services. Depending upon how you perceive getting value out of different packages, you can pick one. They also have introduced another package which offers more free minutes, and therefore they charge more for the line rent and security. You see, for different packages, there has to be the different price for line rent and the security, which are inseparable and which have to be charged in any situation under any circumstances. They also talk about some special bundles which can be customized at your request, but the condition is you talk with the sellers, like I said earlier. This is a classical example of the pure as well as mixed bundling. Although I started talking in the context of the mixed bundling, but this example really has taken us back into pure bundles as well, and therefore provided us with a good understanding in absolute clarity about the two types of the price bundling. The most important consideration while establishing bundles is what really is perceived by customers as a value package. Once we have established what a value package is, we can really go ahead with establishing bundles. The next strategy at the disposal of sellers is that of the complementary pricing. It is basically offering the value at the front end of the service, meaning either charging a very low price or not charging something at all, and generating the stream of revenues by making subsequent sales. Now, what this really means is that in order to offer a value at the front end, you have got to be dealing with a service which is offered on a continual basis in order to assure the continued stream of revenues in future. Take the example of the cable television or mobile telephone. The mobile telephone company can waive off the security or the line rent just in order to lure you into buying the service, and then can generate revenues monthly by your usage of the service they offer. And the same could be the case with the cable television company, which may not charge you anything while it installs everything together and make its money through subsequent sales on a monthly basis. The fundamental condition to have this strategy in place is that you've got to be dealing with a service which is offered on a continual basis. Otherwise, you will not be able to generate revenues from future sales. This takes us to the next strategy, which is about relating pricing with the results, and that is why it is known as result-based pricing. It is workable in situation of high uncertainty, which may keep customers from making the final decision to buy a service. It therefore becomes the responsibility of the seller to make the decision-making process easy. How can they do that? Well, one way out is that they get into some kind of agreement with the customers which says that payment will be made only on the outcome, meaning by developing a relationship between the outcome of the service and payment of the price. Let us take the example of an advertising agency which gets into an agreement with a company saying, okay, let us go ahead with the campaign, kick it off, and then see the results. Only if you get more than 10% increase in your sales shall we qualify for the whole payment, meaning the complete 100% price. If the sales results are within the range of, say, 5 and 10%, we shall charge you 50% of the price. So in other words, what you can do is, as a service seller, get into some kind of agreement which draws a relationship between different levels of pricing with different levels of outcome. This is the beauty of this strategy, because it makes decision making on part of the customers rather easy. Otherwise, they keep on feeling kind of very concerned about those the psychological costs, thinking, apprehending that the service might not work. And therefore, it is the responsibility of the sellers to get into the contingency side of this relationship by saying, if this happens, then we shall charge you this much. If that happens, we shall charge you that much. With this, I'm not done with the 4 categories of customers that I started talking about a little while ago. Just in order to summarize for you, let me show you a graphical presentation as kind of a summary of this concept. As you can see from the slide, we have 4 different categories. The first one says the value is low price, and the strategies that we have in place could be discounting, odd pricing, synchro pricing, and penetration pricing. The second category of customers is which says the value is all that I want, and as per this strategy as per this category, we have two different strategies. One is that of prestige pricing, the other one is skimming pricing. The third category is that of customers which says the value is the quality I pay for, a pragmatic kind of a category. And here customers and here sellers could have two different strategies. One is that of customer category, and the other one is that of service version. The beauty of these two strategies is that they allow the sellers to go across segmental lines, and I talked in detail about what it really means going across those lines. The fourth and the final category is that of customers who say value is all I get for all I pay, meaning all the benefits that I must get by paying whatever I have paid. And these are the customers who are not very loyal. They can switch suppliers, and therefore they've got to be offered as many benefits as possible at a price which could be viewed as a value price, meaning a price offering value to such customers. The three strategies that we have at our disposal are the price bundling, complementary pricing, and result-based pricing. We have understood price bundling in detail. Complementary pricing is offloading the price at the front end and making money later, whereas the third strategy, the result-based pricing, is all about relating results with the payment of the price, meaning at a later stage when the results have shown themselves. After learning all this about demand-based approach, we easily can conclude that it is based on the customer's total value perception, meaning we as sellers have to understand what is it that the customer really values. And in order to establish that, we have to understand what kind of benefits customers look for. And once we have established those benefits, we can then get into pricing. Like I said earlier, probably in the last lecture, customers try to establish what really is the value which the service is going to offer before they start considering and relating a certain level of pricing with those benefits. And therefore, we've got to be very sensitive to what really constitutes value. With the help of the strategies that we have learned, we really are in a position to go for the right strategic move. But in order to establish what those benefits are, we have to undertake a little exercise which we already have understood, learned, and known very well. And that is the exercise of the marketing research. We have to go back to our customers and ask them in a very straightforward manner as to what really is it that forms value. In other words, we can have customers tell us how they define the value they want to get from the company. And what are the questions that we should ask? Because this takes us back to the area of qualitative research. We are out to define a concept, an issue, a problem, so on and so forth. And therefore, we should be talking with a focus group about the questions that we have to ourselves so that we can get the answers to those questions and define what really is valued by our customers. Well, the kind of questions that we must ask them are, what really are the benefits that you're looking for? We can ask our customers in a very straightforward manner. We can also ask them, what is the level of importance you attach to these benefits? We can also ask them, in what context do you really want to enjoy these benefits? It is very important. Like, for example, is it that you want to go to a nice hotel because you are on vacation, or is it that you want to go to a nice hotel because you are on a business trip? So in both situations, the value is going to be derived in a different way or perceived in a different way, and therefore we have to have different strategies for that. And before we come up with the strategies, we have to define those values having different parameters. Another question that we may ask our the customers is, how do they relate particular benefits with a certain level of pricing. I mean, if customer says that I am looking for the following benefits, and he hands over to you a complete list, he also has to give you some indication of the price level that he's looking for. Whether or not you agree with him is a different case. But these are the kind of questions that you must ask your customers. Once you have asked these questions, I can assure you that you are going to come up with answers which will reveal that it is value which comes first. Not only you will be able to establish the value, the benefits which they're looking for, you will also find out that it is the value in the first place and not the price. Once you have fully understood the customer's perspective on the value, you really can price the service. It becomes really easy. So all it means is that the sellers have got to be in a position to fully understand the quality dimensions as those are perceived by their customers, meaning the technical quality aspect as well as the functional quality aspect. And once those have been understood in a proper perspective by way of relating all those with the benefits which customer wants to get from the company, pricing exercise becomes easy. It is not really difficult for you to quantify the monetary and the non-monetary value to your customers. I don't say the price, I say the monetary and non-monetary value to your customers. And this takes into its fold all those costs which I've been talking about. Costs from the seller's point of view, and costs from the customer's point of view, and the translation of the customer's costs into benefits offered by sellers, and so on and so forth. In the hope that you are fully clear about the concept of pricing in services, I bring this chapter to an end. And I thank you for your patience and attendance, and look forward to talking with you in the final lecture next time. Allah Hafiz until then.